The centre makes for a lovely pop-up, and as usual now I suggest that you print out the guide sheet, because you'll need to refer to this quite carefully, and you'll also have the picture just to show you and give you a guide to how the folding comes together as well. So the next thing to do is obviously print off your version on card to make, but before we do that, if I can just run through, this is probably one of the most difficult ones to make. Cutting out as usual is straightforward. Just be careful of a couple of points that here and here where it's very narrow, and on the nose section and up here are just score marks, they're valley folds, and you don't want to cut through those, you want to avoid doing that. And there's a couple of little valley folds here and here, and slightly big one there, and of course here, this is where it hinges, and there's one on his hat here. That's important not to cut right the way through. Of course you can rectify that if you do it, but it's better not to. And we've got another fold on the hat here, so it's fairly straightforward. So print out your main image onto card, and then the next thing to do, as I said, is I'm just going to go ahead now and cut this out, and then we'll come back and have a look at the scoring and the folding. Now cut this out, and I'm ready to put my trim lines in. I'm just going to share with you my confession. If I just hold that up to the camera, you'll just make out two tiny little bits of masking tape there. You could use sellotape. I've just popped on a bit of masking tape because I did cut out where I shouldn't have done, and I should know better, so just to show you it can happen to the best of us. But a little bit of tape on there will now just hold that in place when we come to fold it together. It's not the most critical of folds, but it's a nuisance when you do it. But rather than cutting it all out, because actually it was the last thing I did, I don't want to do that all over again. We can simply repair it, so it's nice just to show you what happens when it does go wrong, as things do. So the first fold I'm going to put in crease as I come along here is the main one, and that runs right the way through. I don't have to look out for any objects. I make sure I don't go through anything because that's a straight through line. And now it's a case of simply working my way through and just putting in these score lines. Now, so this is quite a tricky one to make up, so it is really good if you can have some nice crisp score lines here, and just simply work your way through. I'm using a ruler for this because I just want to make sure it is nice and accurate, and just, as I said, pop these in all the way through, regardless whether they're mountain or valley folds. Especially these side ones here, they're the main ones that pull up, the ones at the side there. And refer back to the full colour diagram because it will just show up. So some of these lines are a little bit light, but of course when we've done this they don't show up at all, and that's the beauty, which is why I've worked on it this way. But if you take your time, you'll be absolutely fine. If you have a nice firm one, I'm just going to go back over the main one there, a nice firm score will help keep everything working properly. So as usual, just check all the elements are free and that they are cut out. It's worth doing. We can obviously do this as we go along, but it just makes for an easier start, especially on the main folds. Over I go. It's the main one running right the way through. Pop that out there. Use my finger as I call a former just to help me make that shape. The paper will bow a little bit, but don't worry, it's quite strong. We don't want to put creases where they shouldn't be or bend things unnecessarily, but we should be alright. Now on this one it comes in two parts, so there's a crease, a valley fold there. Can you see how that nice scoring has helped me to really come through and create some rather nice valley folds and mountain folds? Here we go. Now that's a mountain fold, and then these are all valley folds down below, so they're going to go the other way. So a little bit of a pinch there from behind and onto the mouth, and just check where I am here. Just going to flip it over and on to the moustache there. It's a little bit hard to get hold of there. Okay, so where to start? Well, I'm going to go on this side here and just pull up the image and just begin here on his eyes, and I'm just going to just pull that strap over. Can you see there? And that begins to pull everything out. That will help me just define my folds there. There's a valley fold here, so that part of the toggle goes in, but the hat comes out. It's a little bit awkward to see because I'm all like fingers and thumbs on this, but you'll get the hang of it. And so just pull it over, we can see now that that goes over. In that case, just flip it out. Don't be afraid to put a little bit of squeeze in from behind. We have to be relatively delicate, but then there is a lot of leeway in this as well, so don't worry too much. And then with the hat here and the face there, and now I'm going to pull onto the beard and bring that part over. So again, finger underneath and just pull that over, and while it's there, get it from behind here. Just a little bit of pinch on that part there. These are what I call the main folds. These are the power folds because it's this part that pulls up the image. Now I have a valley fold there and a valley fold on his, sorry, a mountain fold there and a mountain fold there, a valley fold in his chin, and then another mountain fold there. So this half is sort of coming together. We've got the nose area as well. I'm going to try and define that. We can see now by pulling it at 90 degrees, these shapes are beginning to sort of sort themselves out. That's actually a valley fold there. It's coming out on his moustache. The trickiest part of all there, just pulling that in, and that bit goes in under there. Don't worry if it's not quite coming together yet, because we've got the other side to do. And I think you'll see already that that's starting to take shape, isn't it? If I can just turn this over and just really do the same again on this side. So down onto my work surface and put a nice pinch in that fold there, and on for the back of his hat here and the top of the hat there. So that begins to work for me. I'm at 90 degrees and just work through onto the beard, or work through onto the beard section here. So that's actually a mountain fold, and we have one there, and you can see now it's all starting to take shape. The tricky bit is getting this bit going that way and the top part going the other, making sure that it's all free. Now I can see a major problem why it isn't working too well for me. I haven't cut that little bit out there. Very easily done. Let me just work on that and just show you that these things do happen. So I'll cut there. I thought, oh, this isn't folding quite right. If that happens and something really doesn't seem to be working, it's usually a good reason for it. Right, so there we go. That's starting to work like it should do now. The nose is going through that way and the eyes there. So I've just got to be a bit brave here. Take this part, very slippery, and just give a pinch. If you can see now, pinch his nose, and then a nice pinch on there and a nice pinch on there. There's some good deep creases now. That's going to work. You can see how the face is coming together, and this is quite tricky, so don't rush it. I'm going to just slowly squeeze it in because I think I've got everything where it should be, and then just pull it open there, and then I've just got the hat and bits and pieces. So that's I'm really pleased with. It's come together. You can see it was a wee bit fiddly, didn't help by the fact that I hadn't cut everything out properly, but that's now working. We've got this nice sort of Father Christmas face. A little bit tricky to make, one of the hardest ones, and the making is really the folding. The hardest part, as I said, is not the cutting out, but it's actually the folding. But once you've got that, as you can see, it works quite nicely. And there we go.